Hello, hello. We are live. It's good to be back. Oh boy, it's been a hell of a week. I feel like I'm saying that more and more lately, which is maybe not the best sign, but I am very excited today to be going into some really fun stuff because we're wrapping on so many commissions, and that's honestly great. Beskar's just about done, and of course we've got this commission here, which is a Dr. Doom helmet, which is going to go with this Infinity Cyberpunk gauntlet, which we're going to be working on today, which is very exciting. Now, as you can see, good evening, Melvin. I've actually gone ahead and done some work on this. This actually was not only chromed like we did in our last live stream, this was also sealed with some Pledge floor gloss. So now I can touch it, I can kind of handle it, and can jostle it around, and it's really nice. It's got a great feel to it. It's very durable, and I'm really quite happy with how the details on this are looking. This is mostly just freehand foam work, some of Evil Ted's molds, foam clay, foam dowels, just kind of going to town on that and seeing what we could make to make a really fun custom piece. So tonight we're actually working on the hand piece because this is getting real close to being done. We're going to add some more color to this, obviously, than just the chrome. But, so tonight we're going to be working on these resin gems, which I've actually sort of mocked up in place here. I should do my best not to get them messy. So we got the orange, red, blue, purple, green, and yellow. I could probably describe what they all are, but I don't want to. So we've got to mount these on the handpiece, which is this knit glove that we are converting into a very, very nice and comfy Infinity Gauntlet. Initially, I had gone through in an attempt to see if I could do a custom circuit for this, and then I discovered that I knew less about electricity than I wanted to, which is a real bummer. And I did kind of figure out mathematically what was wrong with my initial attempt, but I actually wound up somewhat serendipitously discovering that you can buy, for one of Hasbro's Infinity Gauntlets, these replacement gems, and the gems on there are magnetic, and they also are push button gems, and I removed the light sources from all push button gems, and you can actually, I'll try to get up real close here. It's really fun. So you can kind of see this is the size of the come on. This is the size of the unit right here. Fits in between my fingers there like that. When I press it, it's got 3 modes. It's got a flash, it's got a slightly slower flash, and it's got just on. It's this big, super compact, and I want to say this was fairly cheap. At the time that I bought it, I think the price fluctuates a little because these are just replacements. They're from, like, direct from the factory. I think when I bought them, they were like $18, and I frankly feel like that's pretty good, given the compact nature of these things, and they shine really quite well through these gems. I've actually gone through and hazed up the back a little bit, and you can see they're pretty shined up. And when you press it through the gem, it just kind of turns off and on. So I'm really excited because all we really need here is strong mounting. Now, I did think initially that I might drill into the back of these, but then I thought these are actually pretty clear, and if I'm not careful, I'll end up showing the unit pretty well through the gems. So instead, what I think we're going to do is sort of take some plastic. We're going to set the units down, and I'm actually going to make a little ring of hot glue around them, and then press that against this. So the button is tethered directly to the gem, and you can still press the button. But I'm not getting any glue in the circuitry, and I'm also creating a wider base for these things to stick to. Because we're basically going to stick the gems straight into the glove, and then paint, and we're going to take them off and paint around them. So, let's go ahead, take, oh my gosh, we're going to take these, and let's get our hot glue gun out. This is actually a new hot glue gun. This is so we've actually almost hit 1,000 subscribers, and we actually got a new patron recently. Got 9 patrons now, and so we're basically going to go through and use some of that money to do a big drawing. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, I want to give away some of these tools. I've got an extra hot glue gun I'd really love to give away. I'd love to give away maybe an extra heat gun. Really just help kid out somebody who needs a good start in the cosplay community. I think that could be really a fun way to mark 1,000 subscribers on the channel. I think that'd be really cool. One moment. Let's see here. So, got the glue gun going. I'm getting another glue stick. It's a gift for Christmas. I got a big old box of glue sticks. So I've got just a ton of these, which is going to be great. So we will create a base for each of these. And actually, there's only one modification I made to these, which is the red gem wasn't looking quite as red as I wanted it to. So I actually dabbed a little bit of red paint right on the LED. And that seems to have tinted it enough to give it a very nice internal red look. So that'll be good. Then, let's see. We also are going to be going through and adding to the glove actual bits on the fingers. It's not just going to be loose knit fingers. I think that would be perhaps a little underwhelming, which is not the look we're going for. We're looking for shock and awe. So let's go ahead. The basic idea on the fingers is to sort of model it off of the gauntlet had very square blocky fingers. We're going to try to sort of emulate that, but leave space in between them for some more cyber-technic stuff. But to that end, we're also going to leave the inside of the fingers pretty clear so you can kind of touch your fingers together and it's not super hard to get at. In fact, you can see on the actual glove itself, I left most of the palm clear. I think I might add some like tubing or some wiring in there. But basically, I want you to be able to sort of close up and really get the full motion of your hand. So now, what we're going to do is we're essentially going to make kind of a long rectangle, if that makes sense. The idea here being that if we make sort of a standard finger size, we can actually just chop off sections of it to create our piece. I'm going to do this by sort of measuring an even rectangle across the whole thing. Yep, there and there. We're working smarter, not harder here. Go. We got our first rectangle. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create 2 grooves along here so that we can bend up sort of edges around the fingers. And then we're going to sort of cut it in sections until we have enough sections to do it the way that we want, you know? Okay, so let's see. Can I use this as a guide? Might have to use this as a guide. Yeah, that'll work. So I'm going to just sort of go through and loosely score the center line of these things. It's okay if there's a little difference along the whole thing. That'll actually add to the character of the piece, because we are going to distress this a bit. Not too much. You know, Cyberpunk, I will say, has a little bit of grunge to it, but it's not overly grunge, and that's a good thing, I think. Now, let's go ahead and take... Oh, where's my knife? Where's my good knife? Excuse me, folks. I need to go get my good knife. Domino's doesn't work on your computer? Like it won't log in or the website doesn't work. You can also use it on my computer. Inside it. No, not at all. It's the J capital S for no. Okay. Well, I cannot find my good knife, and now I am a little sad about that. So I guess we will use the slightly less good knife. Alas. I feel like this is bad juju. I feel like I should actually know where my knife is. I feel like that's a bad crafter man vibe. Okay, there we go. Perfect. So cutting 2 V grooves all the way down the length of this big old rectangle. And if it's not super clear what I'm doing, it will become clear pretty momentarily here. We're going to remove this V channel all the way along the length of the groove. Oh man. And sometimes you set out with the best of intentions and you're crafting along, and boy oh boy, is it just not as blindingly easy as you thought it was going to be. Oh man, I wish I had my good knife. That's okay. We got this. We can do this. I am a man. Ahaha! And so man has triumphed over foam once more. On the 4th of July, 1406. No, 1806. Jesus. 1406. Oh. 1806, we set sail from the sweet Cove of Cork. We were sailing away with a cargo of bricks for the Grand City Hall in New York. Such a wonderful craft, she was rigged fore and aft, and oh how the wild winds drove her. She stood several blasts, she had 27 masts, and they called her the Irish Rover. We had 1,000,000 bags of the best Sligo rags. We had 2,000,000 barrels of stone. What? Barrels of bone. We had 5,000,000 hogs, 6,000,000 dogs, 7,000,000 barrels of porter. We had 8,000,000 hides of a blind horse's sides in the hold of the Irish Rover. There was, oh, that's better. There was old Mickey Coot, who played hard on his flute, and the ladies lined up for a set. They went tootling with skill for each sparkling quadrille. All the dancers were fluttered and bet. With his sharp, witty talk, he was cock of the walk, and he rode the dames under and over. They all knew at a glance, when he took up his stance, that he sailed in the Irish Rover. Here we go. And we're just going to contact cement this big sort of tent shape together. It'll be pretty easy to put together, frankly, which is exactly what we want. But it'll also have a lot of really clear shape to it that'll make a strong sort of uniform sense, almost machined, if you will, once we start putting it together. Set that aside. Cap that, because that is schmelly. Very schmelly. Here's my first idea, just to do hot glue against the metal ruler. If I had some parchment paper, I'd use that, but I don't. So let's see if the ruler helps sort of make this a little easier. There we go. I think that'll be a little better. I'll let that fully dry here. And the second it is done drying, we're going to pop it off and test this out. Now, I feel bold. I feel like if I just go ahead and add this on top, everything will work out. And that's the important thing in life, is that I feel like everything's gonna work out. That is not enough hot glue. It's not high enough, weirdly enough. You know, build it up just a little bit. Try to center the light as best we can. And just ever so gently press it up against the button. Because that way we should still be able to, yeah, just press it along as we go. Now, to figure out how to get it off this thing. Okay, so that's not quite dry yet, so we'll leave that for a second. In the meantime, we'll do another round of contact cement on here. These are the crazy vibes that go through my head all the time, as I just sort of bounce haphazardly from thing to thing to thing. There was old Mickey Coot, who played hard on his flute, and the ladies lined up for a set. He went tootling with skill for each sparkling quadrille, though the dancers were blothered and bet. With his sharp witty talk he was cock of the walk, and he rolled the dames under and over. They all knew at a glance when he took up his stance that he sailed on the Irish Rover. I'll treat that again in a moment. And we'll load a second glue stick while we're at it. There we go. I see you, diabolical props. Alright, let's see if I can... Okay, so you can still press the button. It still works really well in that way, and I actually kind of love that. Let's see if we can remove it from the glue stick, or from the glue stick, from the ruler. There we go. Yeah, there we go. And now it's like one complete unit. Plus it's got a broader base to actually attach to stuff. And that is on there. And it doesn't like accidentally press it. You gotta like put a little grease into it. Here, actually I should test it against my hand because that's where I'm gonna be doing it. Yep, you can do it. Yep, there we go. That's exactly what we want. Yay! Alright, I'm gonna trim trim the hot glue mess on the back of this thing. And then what we're probably going to end up doing is actually painting this hot glue sort of stand before we actually glue it to the glove. Oh, you know what? I actually might just glue it to the glove as like the last thing and paint everything first. Yeah, that'll work really well. But now that I know this works, I can kind of start all the other ones at once. I don't need to necessarily wait for each individual one. I can just kind of go. Which will be great because it means that I can leave them all to dry while I do other things. There we go. Bend all of this together. Really squish those V-grooves together to create some very sharp lines all the way up and down this piece. Now, there's a little bit of wobble across the whole thing, and that's okay because we're going to be chopping this into very short sections and gluing them to each individual part of the finger. So it doesn't matter if these are a little wobble overall because it's going to be chopped into small enough sections that you can't really tell that sort of thing, which is good. It really is. All right, let's see here. How we doing tonight, Diabolical? You chilling? You grilling? Just skilling? That rhymes. Yep, that works still. Okay. Boop. 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 There we go. All right, let's go ahead and start all the rest of these real quick. Now, whenever you're working with electronics, it's really important to remember to live fast and take lots of chances. I feel very strongly about this point. If anybody would like to say anything about it, you're welcome to chime in and know that I will ignore you. I'm a grown man, hot gluing these child's toy LEDs to a ruler. And that fact is becoming very, very, very clear to me as I'm working. And I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily. It's just something I'm becoming acutely aware of in the moment. This is my life. I choose this. Oh, I really like the way the last one is shaping up. Okay, we'll set those aside because the first bit's got to kind of dry. And we're going to return to our finger bits. Now, I'm gonna do a test one because I have an idea, but I don't know if it's going to work exactly the way I want it to. So we're just gonna crudely snip this because I was going to sand this anyways. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to take the heat gun and we're going to heat the center section of it. We're going to try to mimic what the original Infinity Gauntlet has, which is sort of these concave features to the center line, or sort of the top face of the fingers, where it's sort of bent in on itself. Yeah, I don't know if I like that. I think that actually might be very much hindering the shape we're going for. That's okay. Knowledge is power. There we go. And now I know that that looks just terrible. Okay. So then the idea here essentially is that these sections will be good essentially for all the middle ones, the ones that are cut straight. And then for the sections that are supposed to reach up onto the finger or the hand a little bit more, what we're going to do is we're going to cut them at an angle like this. So that it matches up. Like that. Yeah. And that way there'll be space for all of these gems on the knuckle, sort of there. And then all of the fingers will have their own, all the sort of digits? No, the digits of the full finger. The knuckles? The segments of the finger will have their own thing. Kind of like our Iron Man gauntlet, but I'm going for something a little bit more stylized, a little less MCU. But this does work very well. And I do think I've made enough, because I can fit virtually my entire finger of each of those fingers onto that piece there. And now that I've been talking long enough, there's enough hot glue on all of these dried to just go to town. Let's go ahead. It's just very important that it touches the button. Kind of got to do these sort of one at a time. Just testing as I go, because I don't want to lose this. These are compact, but they're not like infinitely tiny. They do have like a space and a structure to them. So if I don't do this correctly, they won't work when I'm done. All right, blue, now yellow. Oh, the one thing I am realizing about the yellow one at least is because I'm not. That's the Mind Stone, and that's like the center stone. So I'm not putting that one on a knuckle. I'm putting that one in the palm of the hand. I'm gonna have to cut a hole in there to fit the gem to this thing, so that when I press it, there's space there, and it's not just sitting like a half-inch off the handpiece. Okay, so that's something we have to be aware of. Damn. Okay. Okay. Oop, not the red one, the orange one. There we go. There we go. They're all still working here, which is a unique miracle. But also it just means this method will work pretty well overall. I'm very excited about that, because it's gonna mean that this is just very fun to wear, frankly, because you can turn them all on individually the way it does in the movie, and you can kind of be like, I'm using the Power Stone now. There's an unnecessary Mike Birbiglia impression there. Ooh, uh-oh. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Sorry, I got a little glue on the button, which is like the only place glue really can't go. There we go. There's so many right options, and I still chose a wrong option. What's wrong with me? Lord. There, out in the darkness, a fugitive running, fallen from God, fallen from grace. God be my witness, I never shall yield till we come face to face, till we come face to face. He knows his way in the dark. Mine is the way of the Lord. Those who follow the path of the righteous shall have their reward. And if they fall as Lucifer fell, the flame, the sword, stars in your multitudes, scarce to be counted, filling the darkness with order and light. You are the sentinels, silent and sure, keeping watch in the night, keeping watch in the night. You know your place in the sky. You hold your course and your aim, and each in his season returns and returns, and is always the same. And if you fall as Lucifer fell, you fall in flame. And so it must be, for so it is written on the doorway to paradise, that those who falter and those who fall must pay the price. Lord, let me find him, that I may see him, safe behind bars. I will never rest. Does anybody here listen to Lizzo? I know that's a rapid departure from what I was just doing, but does anybody here listen to Lizzo? Because I discovered a while back that Stars and Jerome have the same back pattern, which I think is a really beautiful thing, but it does mean that they're basically the same song, which I think is hilarious. Oh man, come on. You can do it. Ow. Ooh. Ow, ow, ow. That hurt. Scrape myself on my ruler. Uh-oh. Medical emergency. Well, not emergency. I'm gonna be back momentarily. Whew. That was very dangerous there. Man, crafting. It's a dangerous heckin' hobby. There we go. Just scrape my finger a little bit. There we go. And that's the last one there. Yeah, now I got 6 infinity gems. They're all push button. You can turn them all on with the press, which is fun. That's a fun feature. I'm really glad I was able to make that work. So now let's work on some fingers. Yeah, because this, I want to leave the right amount of space on all of these. Because, like, even with this on the thumb here, like on the knuckle, you can still, yeah, you can still press it, which is great. But then you can still have a thumb piece and a cap piece, which is very, very important for the cyberpunk aesthetic. So I actually really love the way this one turned out. I think that could work really well. Pinky there. I think if I make like 5 more of these like width of ones, I'll be in really good shape. We're just gonna snip, snip, snip right across them. There we go. And the next. And we'll kind of fit these as we go, sort of shaping as we go along. And then before we glue them on, I've got kind of a thing I want to do. Hey, Diaxis, how you doing? Oh, I wanted to show you something. So, Diaxis has sent me some really cool files in the past. I am working on a file that he sent me that I think you're all going to find very hilarious. But there wasn't a Pep Tuesday this week, so I'm going to be releasing just some extra bonus templates because it's a big part of what I do. I love doing that. It gets buzz, but more than that, it's fun to see people make the things I make templates for. Theme music! I've worked on 2 different models this week that I'm really proud of. So I've got this Wolverine cowl that's like the Strike Force Wolverine. I believe this is ripped from a game, but this is a really sharp set of templates that I'm really proud of with a lot of cool detail. But also something that I've been looking at doing for a while now, which is a pretty nice Power Ranger helmet. This is the Green Ranger. I do not know what iteration this is because I'm a terrible, terrible fan. I'm a fake fan. But I think that the design is just so cool. I was able to get a lot of the detail into the mouth section there. So I'm really excited to release these because I want to see what people do with them. It's a really beloved franchise, and I can only hope that people really take to this stuff. Back to the other stuff. Yeah, but Diaxis, I'm working on that model that you sent me because I find that hilarious. And y'all all see what I mean eventually here. Eventually. Okay, let's see here. Let's cut out 2 more of these. Okay. There we go. I still got plenty more of this thing, so that's this method is working out very, very well so far. And then we're gonna bevel these in the same way we did the other one. Just gonna cut back and check and see. That feels like enough. Yep, and then we got this one right here. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Go. Boop. Boop. Super easy. Man, this is actually disturbing. Oh my god, that's horrifying, man. Why? Why do you have them? Oh my god. I know the answer, which is that at some point they got made and you just kind of have them. I'm really hoping next week's Pep Tuesday can be that exploration of my junk folder that I was hoping that this week's could be. I think that'll be really fun. I actually think I need a slightly longer one of these for my thumb piece, because your thumb is, of course, bigger in scale than like the rest of your fingers. There we go, and then we'll just kind of bevel from like there. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, that's a thumb piece right there. There we go. She asked for them. Oh boy. Okay, so we got thumb. I don't know. I've got nothing to talk about. I'm making a custom Cyberpunk Infinity gauntlet. So, I mean, there's that. Not that this is ridiculous. I think it's a really cool concept. But it is, you know, a Cyberpunk Infinity gauntlet. So there's that. Here we go. Now that we've got... Ooh, that's going to go there. Sweet. You can kind of see there's already sort of an array appearing here. They're slightly different in shape, but that's appropriate because the fingers are slightly different sizes. And I'm just sort of tailoring these as I go. Now we got to do the middle sections here. And these ones I think will probably just be sort of straight. We'll just sort of glue them on. I might edit them once they're on my fingers. I think that this is more or less. This one needs to be thinner if it's going to be the pinky one. I'm now realizing I could have just cut a new one, but oh well. There we go. Yeah, there we go. And it will add a little bit of bulk to the finger, but it's also going to look really cool. So there's that. I do love commission builds where I get to just kind of go nuts with them. It's like, the Beskar is really fun. I'm getting real close to being done, which is great. You can actually see I've got the visor and the helmet over here. It's looking very, very sharp. You know, this is just kind of me going hog wild with some foam on a really fun prompt, frankly. So let's see here. Now we're going to grab one about that thick. Yep. There's we go. My stomach? What the heck, man? You're interrupting the session. This is terribly important business. No time for stomach. There we go. And then we don't need a second just like interstitial one for the thumb, because the second one for the thumb is just the cap. So now what we need to do is I'm actually going to take my rotary tool. I'm going to sand these a little bit. I'm going to give them a little more shape because, you know, why wouldn't I? But then I'm also going to carve a little groove into the top of them so that I can sort of create a thing that goes across the knuckle. A little strip that goes across the knuckle, and that'll help reinforce everything, but it'll also just look really freaking cool. If I do this right, I will essentially glue a strip of foam that is just raw black foam onto that. I won't actually paint it, and that way it'll be super durable for a lot longer. Because the rest of it will be painted, but it'll offer some really cool texture variation. Along with just a great solution for sort of the feeling of degradation that you can sometimes have on hand pieces. Just in general. This isn't a foam critique. This is just a critique of, like, making hand pieces, I think. There we go. That's one thumb piece. Now that I've sort of rounded out all those edges, this really starts to feel like a more integrated part. Yeah, I really love the way that looks. Trim any little fraying. I could sand that down, but I can also just trim it off. Ta-da! There we go. That looks very sharp. Yeah, and it's subtle things like that that really take things from clap. Subtle things like this that really take it from just like a foam build to a very nice polished piece. And yeah, it can be a little tedious doing stuff like this, but sometimes good work is a little tedious and detail oriented. That's important. Oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam, where the deer running antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where southern is heard, where the skies are not cloudy all day. Oh, does your mother know you're at Cecilia? Does she know that I'm about to steal ya? Oh my, when I look in your eyes, something tells me you and I should get together as a battle little kiss, Cecilia. Just in case you'll ever miss Cecilia. Why should we two keep on wasting time? Oh, Cecilia, say that you'll be mine. These don't sound so good to me, so what do you say we up the key? Does your mother know you're at Cecilia? Does she know that I'm about to steal ya? Oh my, when I look in your eyes, something tells me you and I should get together. That's about a little kiss, Cecilia. Just if you'll never miss Cecilia. Why should we two keep on missing time? Oh, Cecilia said you'll be mine. Oh, mine. Mama says, don't drink hot coffee while lying down in bed. Now who can argue with that? Mama says, don't hold your breath for longer than an hour. The woman knows where it's at. Mama says, doesn't matter if you're a king or you're a clown. Pony is a 5. No context. Pony is a 5. Do with that information what you will. Now, I wouldn't say that it's a terribly complicated model, but I do think it's super freaking funny. Because, holy hell. I don't know, I've definitely got models that I consider to be, like, verging on jokes. Like, I've made models of, like, a fork and unfolded it because somebody wanted a pepicure of fork. And I was like, okay, I mean, are you sure you don't just want to buy a fork? And he was like, no, because I want to scale it up big. And then I sent him a link for, like, a really big fork, and he was like, I want it to be custom. And I'm like, why do you need a custom fork? What is your life that you need a custom-sized, oversized fork? Why can't just any old oversized fork do? What are you doing with that fork? I need to know, and I'll never know. God. Have you seen your pet file? Which pet file? The pony? Yeah, I've been working on it already. Unless you're talking about something else. Did you release something else recently? I don't know if you're referring to that or what. You made a pet file of a file? Like of a file icon? I'm confused. Or like a pet file of the Tomasoft dragon, or... Oh man, there's a story here, but I don't know what it is. Oh man, you got me on the edge of my freaking seat here. Here we go. I will say this part right here is a little nerve-wracking because I have to get the tool pretty close to my finger, honestly. Almost a little too close for comfort. There we go. That's a little better there. Yeah, so when you, like a file, like a rasp, you're a how dare you? How dare you just mess with people so brazenly? Oh, these look really cool. I'm actually very quite... Oh, you know, here's something I didn't necessarily consider because, of course, these are a little bigger. Okay, cool. This still works. I definitely made these a little oversized to begin with, and they definitely still fit once I put them on this this glove. That looks really sharp. Yeah, no, I have to say I'm very, very enamored with the way this is turning out for being so fly-by-night. Sometimes I am reminded that I've done this for some time and I'm not just hacking away like crazy for no clear reason. I do things because I'm pretty sure they're gonna work. There we go. You know, weirdly, I don't use files or rasps very much in foam. They're just not as good for foam work because foam is so squishy. It's the pep of the pet manual, Lord. I saw an amazing thing pop up in Everything EVA Cosplay. If you're not in the Everything EVA Cosplay group, please do, because I can let you in. It's a great group where a lot of people share like enthusiasm for foam in very different ways. But one dude shared a memory of the video. It was a beginner to pep. And it was a beginning to paper pep, and it was just like him taking the pieces of paper and just like going, and then folding them in half and smothering them in wood glue, and then Bondo and just like as a splat, and then spray painting the pile. It was hilarious. It was so funny. If you don't quite understand why that's funny, maybe you should spend some time with us and learn a little more about pep. Oh god, it was so funny though. I was so blown away. You don't see a lot of comedy in the cosplay community. Like, you'll see memes. The meme culture is strong. I won't lie. But you don't necessarily see a ton of actual joke videos or instructionals. You know, it's a lot of, like, small one-off jokes. Not elaborate video tutorial pranks. God, it just makes it so good. There we go. These pieces are going to look so sharp. Man, really happy about this. This is fun. That's for a Chappie file, so I made a file for Chappie, but here it's like a dog food. So you made a can with Chappie on it. Oh, that's some top tier memery, sir. I don't know. The one thing I've never understood about pattern making culture and like cosplay culture is a propensity for people to demand that something should already be made, which is, I think, slightly different for people demanding work for free. But sometimes people will sort of shout into the void of social media, like, why isn't anybody doing blank yet? And I'm like, what? What do you mean? Like, were you paying somebody? Are you waiting on an order? Oh man, no, people get weird sometimes. I don't know. People sometimes ask me for work that I'm like, I mean, I'm not everything I do is out of the goodness of my heart. I do actually try to spend some time like gauging the concerns of like my patrons and other people who I collaborate with. It's not all just random commissions, especially when people want a very specific thing. And I'll just be like, if I find something for it, I might do it, but it's not high on my priority. And unfortunately, I am actually quite busy. I work a job and also do this, and it takes a long time to do stuff. I think as for every person that there is, for every like 10 people who are super nice, super respectful, and super grateful, there's like one person who seems to think that my entire life, and really the lives of everybody who does models or templates, revolves around making them things because they're like the protagonist. And that is perhaps the weirdest stuff. Oh no, really? Has Pep Library been dealing with a bunch of spam lately? I don't know. I wouldn't know. Actually, this is a great question. So I've recently encountered the Pepicura Library site, not Onekura, but it was called pepicuralibrary.com, I think. Is that fake? Is that spam? Because I always get a bunch of weird pop-ups whenever I like try to find a link from that site in particular, and I've just not asked. I don't know what happened there, but it's weird, and I don't like it. I dislike it. I'll go on record. Yeah, okay, we're actually I think we're just gonna start sticking these on. That's not one of ours. Okay. Well, good to know. Good to know. I'll gladly stick away from it. I don't know. People ask a lot where to find PEP files. And of course I say, well, I put out a lot of them. But for those that are not mine, Pepicura Library is a great resource. It's on Facebook. It's a Facebook group. People have been just arduously administrating that for years, and they've done a really good job. But trolling Google will get you places. Well, we're almost done here. I'll probably glue one or two of these segments on just to kind of show off. But while we're just sort of winding down, waiting for the hot glue gun to warm back up, I thought I might show you guys. So some of you may be aware, some of you may not, that we held a giveaway for our 500 subscribers. We're almost at 1,000. But our 500 subscriber, and the winner of that was Justin Holt, who actually happens to be the lead texture supervisor at Epic Games. And he actually designed a texture for this Daredevil mask that we made a little while back, which I had a lot of fun making. This thing was a lot of fun. It was made small for kid, but this was a lot of fun to make. But he wanted another one made, and he wanted it for display. And I was like, well, this is kind of small to display. So we made a new one, and per request, we did it in a metallic red finish. I just thought I'd show that off because I do think, like, as much as this does show off the very beautiful cartoony nature of Fortnite, I think this thing looks truly menacing. The horns came out really, really sharp. We did a little adjustment on the proportion because the bigger you scale it up, the more a little out of whack some things get. But I'm really quite happy with the way this thing has turned out, and that's going out pretty soon here. Oh, thanks, man. Let's see here. I think there's enough heat in the gun now. We should be able to, hopefully. There we go. So my plan, more or less, here is actually just to hot glue it straight to the glove. Balls to the walls. Let's do it. Just a little bit, just enough to sort of tack it down. I actually really like using hot glue for cloth applications like this, because the body of it really helps it dig into like the knit of the glove. So here we go. As long as you're working on low, which Of course, I am now. You shouldn't really have any trouble with hurting your hand, you know, especially with a knit glove. The worst I've ever really done with a knit glove, actually, is I accidentally... Oh no, that wasn't quite enough glue. Not quite hot enough. I accidentally... I didn't burn myself, but I actually put too much glue on a segment once, and I glued it to the hair on my finger, which I think is the funniest way it could have gone wrong, frankly. That needs to heat up a little bit more. That's a shame. But these things are looking quite nice. You can really see the light on the gem looks really quite bright. Really quite happy with that. This looks way better than I thought it was going to. No offense, like I was fully prepared to have to scrap this idea and go back to finishing my electrical circuit the way I had originally intended, but this looks really good. Damn, this does not want to heat up. Well, shucks. It's just about 8 o'clock, so I do think we're going to wrap up, even though we didn't quite get to gluing these on. We got a lot done. We kind of showed off a really fun, easy method for creating finger segments, which I think I might revisit this in the future, because this is really fun. I think it might be fun to sort of show off ways you can make your own custom stuff. Cha-cha. Well, I want to thank you all for joining me. This has been a pretty chill build live stream. We got a lot of stuff wrapping up here. I've actually been editing the Mando bucket build, so that's coming out pretty soon here. More templates on the way. And as always, if you're interested in my templates, if you're interested in what I do, and you like supporting the channel and all the templates that I do put out, for just $3 a month, you can become a patron. I'll shout you out in these videos, and to that end... we just got some new patrons, so I really want to give a huge shout out to everybody. I want to give a shout out to Laura, Dustin Wells, Ruben, Wilson Ferreira, Matt G, Jennifer Zayer, Pandal Say, K-Snake, and of course Austin of AJ Plays Piano. You guys have been so helpful and just instrumental in growing this channel. If you like this channel, please subscribe. A lot of you aren't subscribed, so if you're even on the fence, you know, it helps me out. We're like a stone's throw from being able to monetize, which is super cool because I like doing giveaways. I like doing these live streams, and I like giving away templates. It's a lot of fun for me. So for now, I've been Jaden. I want to thank you all so much for joining me tonight. And as always, please take care.